This video is brought to you by Quiztones, my all-time favorite app for learning frequencies.
What's up, friend? If you missed the last video, a lot of things have changed. I am no longer in the studio. I am wild. I am out in nature. I'm out in the middle of the mountains in Montana. It's pretty wild. I've got my little Genelecs here, my trusty Genelecs. I've had these for years. I used to work on cruise ships and I took them all around the world, and man, I've had these for probably 10 years now. And then I've got my UF8 solid state logic controller that I use to control all these faders. Have a simple Scarlett, my Mac Pro, got my van in the background, my dogs are running around somewhere, and we're literally camping on a river right now, mixing audio. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if you can hear, but there's actually a river behind us. And you could say that might mess with the audio or something, but it feels amazing. So I don't even care. I don't even care right now. All right, so today we have a session from one of my really good friends out in New Zealand. His name is Timothy Clark. Definitely go check him out. I'm gonna put a link in the description to his Spotify. He sent me over a bunch of music over the couple years that we've been kind of talking through email. He found me through this channel, and one of the songs he sent me is this song called Feels Like. And I just love it. This song is still on my best of playlist that I play all the time on Spotify. When it comes on, there's just something magical that got captured in this recording. And it's really special. I think it's really special. So he was kind enough to let me have the tracks for this whole session, and obviously kind enough to let me use them on here. So thanks, Timothy. I appreciate you so much, man. You're awesome. I cannot wait to come out to New Zealand and surf with you. It's gonna happen. So basically what I wanna show you today is I wanna show you how I am still able to use analog processing while I'm out here remote in the wilderness. So basically how it's gonna work is I'm gonna break down my entire session so I can kind of show you how everything is routed and how I kind of do everything I do. And it's kind of from years of being on that SSL console, the giant 96 channel console. And I've taken all that knowledge and all those workflows that I used to use on that console, and I've kind of brought them in the box in the session in Pro Tools. One of the things that I tried to match as close as possible is my mix bus in the studio. So I used to use a Shadow Hills, and then I had a Curve Bender, and then I had a SSL Vintage Drive, and that was just my chain that I always used. And in the box, I found a chain that of course isn't the same, because you can't quite mimic that amazing analog sound, but I've gotten something close that I think that I really, really like, and I've been using it a lot. So the first thing I've got here is the SSL bus compressor. By the way, none of this gear there's no sponsors for any of this stuff, except of course for Quiztones. I love this bus compressor. I think SSL has done such a good job with their plugins. There's something different about them. They're just so clean. It's just like the console, you know? So I have this as my bus compressor, and then I've got my Vintage Drive. So this is like literally the same settings that I had on the console, and I've A/B'd them, and the Vintage Drive on this is really close. I love it. And then we've got the SSL Violet EQ. So I'm doing just a tiny bit of boost at 90 Hertz, 1.2 dB, and a tiny boost at 16K, 1.8 dB. It's sort of mimicking, trying to get that console sound just straight out the box. Margot, do not cross that road. Come here. You wanna come sit with me? Come on. Yeah, come sit with me. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Margot's been loving life these past couple weeks, man. She's just been running around these mountains, hiking, hunting little animals. It's been awesome. Okay, back to audio. So yeah, that's basically my mix bus. It's super, super simple. I keep this on all the time, and I've been using this mix bus even in the studio whenever I just don't have access to the console right in the moment. All right, and so everything is kind of just broken down pretty simply. We've got the drums here, some percussion, bass, we got tons of guitars here, lead vocal, and then my background vocals here. And then I put just some effect stuff that he has at the very, very end here. And so everything in this session is completely flat. There's nothing going on. There's no plugins besides the mix bus, no panning, anything like that. One of the biggest takeaways that I had from working on that console was that before I worked on that console, what I used to do was I used to pull up on my tracks, just start turning up faders, and then making EQ changes and EQ adjustments and stuff like that. And I found that a lot of times I would constantly be over processing. And when I got in the studio and started putting stuff on faders and just first trying to get the mix as best as possible with just the faders, it allowed me to get the best possible mix first without touching anything, and then really make the right choices based on all the instruments and the vocals as a whole. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So we're gonna basically do that first step of the process. So we're gonna mix with the faders, get everything kind of dialed real quick, just a quick rough mix, trying to get it as close as possible. And then I'm gonna show you some really cool analog processing. And it's actually analog out in the middle of the mountains. Out here, I do not have 96 channels. I just have 8. I have 8 faders that I can control. And at first, I got really frustrated just like hitting the bank over and over and trying to find what channels I was in. And I kind of came up with a system that I think works very, very well for me anyway. And what I do is every session that I pull in, I have these memory locations here, and these are just track view hide memory locations. So they're always here, they're filtered here, they're ready to go. And right now we're on all. So as an example, we're gonna hit drums, and our drums come up. So we have our main output, which is always on every single one of these memory locations, because I always wanna be looking at the main output. And then I have all my drums here, my drum aux, my crush, aux, we'll talk about that in another video, and then I have some percussion stuff here, all right? And then we just hit bass, and we've got bass. We got guitars, we got all the guitars. We have vocals, and this is all the vocals, of course, with our main output. I've got an effects, which is just our effects tracks, and then I have a master here, all right? And so as the session progresses, I might make one for reverbs, I might add the reverbs to the vocals. Nelly, my other dog, is playing in the background. And what's cool about this is basically I'll stay in this all thing, and then when I need to do something on the faders, I'm like, oh sweet, okay, I need the guitars. And then I quickly can see all my guitars here. I can move the faders up and down, I can pan, I can get everything where I need it to be, and then go back to all and keep mixing. It's the same thing. It's really handy whenever I'm down here working on some effects and I hear something like, oh, drums. I just hit the drums, and then I can quickly access it, go back to all, and then we're kind of back where we started from. All right, so now we're gonna just hit play and get this song rolling. So the first thing that we're gonna mess with is the vocal. I just wanna bring up the lead vocal and make sure it's in a good spot. My dog's gonna get really annoyed with me. But we're just gonna hit play where this vocal starts. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Let's hear how it sounds here. She feels like sometimes in the morning, I don't know exactly how. Okay, so really quick, just so we get a good idea of this vocal, I'm gonna clean this vocal up just a tiny, tiny bit. So we're gonna do a little bit of a low cut here. 'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning, I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing. Okay, so we're just gonna keep it there. I just wanna clean up that low mid stuff so it's just not overbearing, and we're not trying to add anything, we're not trying to make anything fancy, we're just doing a tiny, tiny little bit of cleanup just to make it the sound kind of viable for moving forward. Okay, so we have the vocal in a decent spot. Now let's just go to the beginning of the song here. We'll go to where these drums come in. Let's see, yeah. Let's go to where these drums come in, and we'll just start building the track here. All right, here we go. Sometimes in the morning, know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean.
Yeah, what you feel like? Yeah, what you feel like? Yeah, what you feel like? She feels like the coast on Monday morning. I don't know exactly what sings or floats, so I took all the dough. And when that works out well, 'cause now she's taking me dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like? 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 Yeah, what you feel like?
All right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Let's start this over.
She feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like? Yeah, what you feel like? She feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like? Yeah, what you feel like? Yeah, what you feel like? She feels like the coast on Monday morning. I don't know exactly what sings or floats, so I took all the dough. And when that works out well, 'cause now she's taking me dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like. 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 Like. Yeah, what you feel like. She feels like the coast on Monday morning. I don't know exactly who sings or floats, so I talk all the dough. And when that works out well, 'cause now she's taking me dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like.
All right, we're getting somewhere. So I'm hearing the drums. There's a couple little issues where the overheads are out of time, so the snare drum is really leaning left, so we're gonna have to fix that later. That's not a big deal. So that's all kind of decent. Let's get these vocals a little bit more ironed out, all these harmonies and stuff. And then, yeah, then we'll do some processing here.
She feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. She feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know it. Sometimes in the morning I don't. Sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly. In the morning I don't.
That's cool.
In the morning I don't know exactly how. Know exactly how. Know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling. Know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like.
Whoa. Let me hear that. Let's hear this.
Yeah, what you feel like.
Oh, that's cool. Let's just pan them for fun.
Yeah, what you feel like. Yeah, what you feel like. Yeah, what you feel like. what you feel like. Yeah, what you feel like.
Actually, I don't like those pan. Let's keep those center. Let's keep those center.
Yeah, what you feel like.
All right, let's get these guys.
Yeah, what you feel like.
Okay, so these can be panned.
Yeah, what you feel like.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, what you feel like. Yeah, what you feel like. Yeah, what you feel like.
All right, let's just get this last little vocoder here. See what this sounds like.
She feels like the coast. She
All right, now let's get these effects. And again, we're just getting everything kind of close, feeling out the track, really seeing what's there, seeing where the issues are. This is a really fun way to do it versus just soloing every single track. Like, we want to know how it fits inside the entire song. So we're not looking to make this 100% perfect. We're just feeling it, right? We're just playing with the faders. We're just getting the tracks up, kind of getting the vibe of the whole track, all right? So we got a ghost here. Wait, where is that guy? Oh, it's this one.
a ghost.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. I like this.
She feels like.
So we want this quiet.
She feels like.
All right, so keep that kind of subtle. That's another one. Then we got a lighter.
Called dope.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Called dope. And when that works out,
We'll pan this over a little bit.
Called dope. And when that works out well.
Then we have a wave coming up.
Now she's taking me dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like.
I'm guessing this is going to be a little more subliminal.
For the ocean.
We might add some cool reverb to that too in the end. All right, we got some traffic here. Subliminal.
She feels like. She feels like.
All right, let's see what else. What do we got? We got a bank.
She feels like the cold.
I would like to open a bank account.
Sure thing. What kind of a
I love this. I love these little subliminal things in here.
Apply right over the phone. Call. You can apply right over the phone.
How can I help you? Centel Online, Melanie speaking. How can
I love this stuff.
The last 4 digits of your credit card number.
She feels like the cold. She feels like.
Cool. So we're gonna play with those a little bit more, but that's in a really good spot. All right, did we get all the tracks? There's probably a couple of guitar things, but no, it seems pretty close. I took out some of the center guitars. There just seem to be a lot of guitars. There's some left, right, center, which we might use those later, but just to keep it simple, I just went with the left, right for now, and then we might add those in a bit later. But so far, this is in a pretty decent spot here. Okay, so now we're gonna do the fun part. We're gonna do the fun thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna process a couple of these tracks using analog gear. How are we gonna do it? We're out in the middle of the mountains. The sun just went over. I keep looking over and just kind of getting blown away by this view. It's awesome. It's awesome. Okay, focus. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, just real quick, and I'm going to export just this lead vocal here. So I'm going to export this, and we're going to call this lead vox analog. We'll call it lead vox analog. And then I've got my mix source to be the actual bus. So this is the lead vox aux bus. Mono summed is just totally fine, and we're going to bounce it. I don't want to have this be my actual output, my output 1 and 2. If I did that, then it would go through the bus processing, and I don't want that. You'll see why in a second. But I selected my whole track from the start, and we're going to export it. So we're going to send that to the bounced files. We're going to go ahead and hit export. Should do that really quick. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to just turn off this plugin just for a second, and we're going to go to a plugin. I know I said analog, but we're going to go to Access Analog. Analog Matrix. I don't know if you've ever heard of Access Analog. This is not an ad. I'm not being paid by Analog Matrix. There's nothing like that. I genuinely use this all the time, and I love it. I love it. It's awesome to be out in a place like this, and basically what it is it's a whole studio filled with analog gear, and they have these little robot knobs that basically turn all the knobs for you. So they created digital versions of these plugins, and I can actually move the knobs that are in a studio. I think it's in California. So I'm in Montana in the middle of the mountains. I'm using Starlink to go to a satellite in outer space, and then to California to move these knobs, and then I get to actually export it there and then get the high quality file here. So the reason why I exported it in my session is because I want to make sure that my bounce is that exact analog source, right? You can do it to where it's all in real time, but maybe just because I use Starlink all the time, it's just not that fast. You need a really, really fast connection. And our Starlink is pretty quick. I usually get about 300 megabytes, sometimes 400 megabytes a second, but there's still just too much of a delay in the satellite. So we're connected, and now all I got to do is we're gonna get our source here, and I need to put my file here. So I'm gonna open up this Finder, go to Bounce Files. It's this lead vox analog here. I'm just gonna drag it over. Boom. Dragged it over, and now it's just gonna upload. So this is actually taking that file, and it is uploading it from my computer to their server. And you can see it's uploading right now. It's actually going pretty fast. And again, this makes it to where I don't have to do this all in real time through all these satellites. Hi, Margot. You're beautiful. I wish I could show you Margot right now. She's looking beautiful. She's not allowed to go in the road, and so she sits like at the road. It's pretty funny. Okay, so we got our file. You can see it right here. Okay, so now let's go to our equipment, and really quick, just for fun, I'm gonna add just a free compressor. I always do this just to test this and make sure that everything's working and I'm not gonna basically waste money. So how it works is you buy credits, and then those credits are used as like time allotments for different pieces of gear. So you can see here, if I go to compressor, there's 590 credit an hour, 798 credit an hour, stuff like that. And then anything that's unavailable means that somebody else is using it. And luckily this isn't that popular yet. And so typically when I get on here, there's only a couple things that are unavailable, and they've got all kinds of stuff. Vintage Neves, modern Neves, Pool Techs, master bus stuff. They got saturation. They got, of course, reverbs. I'm going to show you that here in a second. That's my favorite thing about it. All kinds of awesome stuff. One of my favorite things about them is you're able to just grab a piece of free gear, and you could use this. It actually works pretty good, this Audioscape comp, but you can just make sure that everything's working and that you can see it. One thing that I have noticed, and maybe it's just because I'm terrible at updating my plugins, but the meters sometimes don't work that well. They don't show you exactly what's happening, so you have to really rely on your ear, which I kind of like that. That's just, I don't know, I like that from being in the studio. But let's just make sure this works and see what we got here. So let's move our playhead over and see what we got.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning, and I don't know exactly how.
So today, funny enough, the meter's actually working pretty well. So this is actually working, and you can hear that I'm getting compression there, and it's basically in real time. It's mind-blowing that I can do this out here. Okay, so let's get rid of this this free comp, and let's do something really cool. So let's go to compressors, and just for fun, let's do LA2A. Let's do an LA2A. So we're gonna process this vocal with an LA2A right now. So I'm gonna add the LA2A, and let's see what we got here.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like, 'cause she feels like sometimes in the morning
All right, that's awesome. And now let's just for fun, let's just add an EQ, just for fun. Let's do, oh, the pool techs are taken. I would love to add the pool techs, but let's just do this. This one, this is like the really nice Neve. Let's add that. And then let's make sure all our settings are about at 0. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of high end just for fun, just because we're playing around here.
'cause she feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well.
Pretty sweet, right? Pretty sweet. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I like my settings. I think they're in a really good spot, so we're gonna export them. So we go to bounce here. Everything's ready. 48K, 24-bit. We got the tail here. Keep bounce files on server. I'm gonna automatically download it. It's set just to go to my downloads. Very, very, very simple. And then I'm gonna make sure that this whole thing is selected. And then we're just gonna hit bounce. Okay, and so now what this is doing is this is literally taking my entire vocal at their studio, and it is running it through the gear, and it is bouncing it straight to their converter. And so whenever this is done, it's going to download straight to my computer. I'm gonna pull it in the session, and we have an analog processed signal. The coolest part is most of the time, I can get into one of these pieces of gear and get the sound really quick, and the credits that you use are really just about the time that you're taking bouncing. That's really where it takes some time. You can obviously just bounce just the audio file. I did the whole waveform, but sometimes whenever you get it back, it can be a little bit off in terms of timing, and so I like to just have it from the start. It's just, I don't know, I've just done it a bunch of times, and to me, it's just a little bit easier to do it that way. So I'll come back when this is done exporting. Again, it's just basically playing that export at the studio I think they're in California. I could be wrong though, I could be wrong. All right, sweet. So we got our export. We can remove these pieces of gear so it doesn't cost us credits. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get out of this plugin real quick. I'm gonna make a new thing. We're gonna call this analog, and then I'm gonna pull in, just for time's sake, I'm just gonna drop this in here real quick. A couple cars just drove by. Okay, so now we're just gonna make sure that everything's in time, and it is. Everything's lined up, looks really great. We'll turn off this plugin here, and then we'll check that. Let's check this out. So the one thing is that, of course, I bounced this at plus 2.5 dB here. So I need to put this at 0, and then I can actually compensate here if I wanted and turn that up. But anyway, let's just get an A/B of the process signal versus our dry signal.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning.
All right, this is what we had before.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning.
All right, one more time. This is the analog processing we just did.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning. I don't.
How cool is that? We just did that in the middle of the mountains in Montana. Analog gear. I don't know, maybe I'm being dramatic, but it just gets me so excited. I just love technology that we're able to do this. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Okay, so we're gonna do one more. I wanna get some reverb. I want a really good sounding reverb. So we're just gonna do this real quick. So I'm gonna bounce this again, lead vox aux. We're gonna call this lead vox verb. So we'll export this, bounce, because I want my processed signal to go to my reverb, right? I don't want anything different. Normally I would do this once the vocal is a little bit more cleaned up, but just for this sake, we'll do it here. All right, so we exported it. We're gonna add this plugin again, except for we're gonna go to mono to stereo, because we're gonna want a stereo reverb. We're gonna connect this. All right. We're gonna check it real quick just to make sure. Oh, we're gonna make sure our source is our lead vocal verb. Pop this over there. Boom. Let it upload real quick. Gosh, take a look at the view while it's uploading. Sunset happening right now. I can see the moon. I can hear the river behind me. It's really special. All right, perfect. Let's get our equipment. Let's just double check and make sure that it's actually working.
'Cause she feels like sometimes.
All right, so it's working. We'll remove this. Let's go to our reverbs. We want the Bricasti, of course. Let's go to plates, and I'm gonna go to repro plate. I really like this a lot. Let's bring this wet mix down. We'll bring the dry mix all the way up, and let's just hear how this sounds on its own real quick.
'Cause she feels like time morning. I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try.
All right, so let's bring the milliseconds up a little bit. We'll do something like that.
'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning. I don't.
It actually sounds really good. I really like that. Okay, so now we're gonna export this. So I'm gonna bring the wet mix all the way up. I'm gonna bring the dry mix all the way down. We're gonna go to our export. So we got stereo, everything looks good. All right, let's bounce it. And now we just sit here again, look at the view, and just pet your dog. And let the analog robots do their job. All right, so let's take this plugin out. Let's import this one. Let's see. Open it up, new track. It exported it as mono on accident, but that's okay. You'll get the picture of how awesome this thing is. Okay, so main master, let's make the channels the same.
She feels like.
Maybe it was meant to be mono. Maybe that was just what it was supposed to be. All right, let's mix this in a little bit here.
She feels like sometimes in the morning. I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. 'Cause she feels like sometimes in the morning I don't know exactly how to tell her, but I try. And if that works out well, 'cause now she feels like dancing, falling for the ocean. Yeah, what you feel like.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. To be able to do this is really crazy. It's really cool that we're here in technology. Like, of course, I'm not going to be able to have every single channel and every single track with analog gear in real time. Like, that's not quite feasible. But to be able to take the most important parts of your track and to process them analog and to get that extra juice, and maybe you want some crazy distortion, maybe you want some mix bus, maybe your mix is finished and you want to do some mix bus processing and mastering. I'm definitely going to do a video on that to show you some of the really cool tools that you can use. And one of the things I didn't even show you is you can actually save all your own presets. So if you start to use similar reverbs, similar settings for compression, you can just load your preset real quick. The gear will do its thing and it saves a lot of time. Super, super cool. So if you really liked this video and you really like this style of mixing and really kind of getting back to the basics, or if you're a new engineer and you're really just trying to figure all this stuff out, or if you're an artist and making your own music and want to learn how to kind of get your foundation knowledge of mixing there, I really would love to help you with that. I have a link down in the description that you can click and you can book an actual phone call with me. In the past, I've done a really cool group session where every single week for 6 weeks, me and a bunch of engineers all get together virtually and we go through a lot of this mix process. We learn frequency, we learn how to listen for gain, we listen for EQ changes, we learn about compression and reverb, and I actually have tracks that I give you and we all mix them together and we do mix critiques. It's a really beautiful thing. So if you're interested in that at all, just click the link down in the description and you can actually book a call with me and we can just talk about it. We can talk and see if you're the right fit for something like this. It's going to be so much fun and it's going to be a great group of people that's all kind of working together for a common goal. And if not, no worries. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And before I go, I really have to show you this view here because it's just too good. This is what I've been looking at this whole time. It's kind of dark, but the sun has been setting. There's a river right there. It's just so awesome. Peace, guys. I'll see you on the next one.